What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and I'm here to take you through the most comprehensive NBA player prop preview for the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Dallas Mavericks. Now, if it's your first time checking out the channel, I invite you to subscribe because I do this every single day. I share my screen, we go through Outlier, I take you through the things that I do like, the things that I don't. We talk about form, matchups, odds, you name it, fantasy. It's all going to get covered in this one. And I do all this to give you all the information that you need to make the best bets possible. Now, if you watched yesterday's video and you happen to tail some of the picks or even some of the leans, you'd be a pretty happy man today. I personally, on the bets that I ended up choosing, cashed an Obi Toppin over 10 points, Precious Achua over his PRA, Isaiah Hardenstein. We faded him twice, under in his points, under in his steals and blocks. So a pretty decent day. Pocket starting to get full again. Hopefully we can do it once again. Now, if that sounds interesting, let's go. So before we get into outline and preview this game, I want to take a look at the box score from the last game to see if we can get any ideas, opinions, insights, so we know what to look for in this upcoming one. So checking out the Dallas Mavericks first, who did ultimately win that game on the road. Firstly, we had Derek Jones. He had scored 19 points. So he's 2 straight games now where he's absolutely killed it. I've been leaning on Derek Jones all series, and he's really delivered on the last 2. PJ Washington only scored 10 points. They finally shut his water off, but he did have 10 rebounds. Daniel Gafford was at 9 and 7, very close to his lines, but I think he went under. Kyrie Irving with another slow game, 12 points, 4 assists. We had Luka Doncic finally went off, 31 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. Derek Lively off the bench was a beast, 11 points and 10 boards. And Josh Green, 1 from 5 from deep. So he only had 5 points, but the opportunities were there, very similar to Tim Hardaway. So they could be to look at because his bench definitely going to get a run. And then we look at OKC Thunder. We had Lou Dort, scored 12 points. Pretty sure he covered his lines. It's 2 games in a row where he's been aggressive, 6 boards and 4 assists. Pretty healthy stat line for Lou Dort. Jalen Williams only scored 12 points. That's 2 poor games in a row by Jalen Williams. Boards and 3 assists. Chet Holmgren, 13 points and 4 boards. He's got under his points line a few times in a row now. Isaiah Joe got promoted to the starting lineup and did not play well at all. Did what you'd expect, 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists. At their bench, Aaron Wiggins, who I've bet on 2 games in a row now, sucked, only had 2 points. But Josh Giddey off the bench had 11 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. So interesting to see what the starting lineup looks like for the Thunder. Cool, let's jump into Outlier. Let's see what's popping and see what we can find here. So Dallas have a chance to close this series out at home. So let's look at OKC first. Given they're on the road, we'll start with SGA. All right. So SGA's points line. We're looking at 31.5 points for SGA. So far in the series, he's covered this line in 2 out of the 5 games. Here, he's averaging 31.4. So this line feels just about right. In terms of he's been performing. He's at 23 attempts per game, 50% from the field, making a few 3-pointers and not getting to the line as much, but getting there enough. He was 4 from 6 in that last game, missed 2 free throws. So, the line where his average has been throughout this series at Dallas, he scored 31 and 34 points. So my initial lean on this one for SGA is that you have to lean to the over. You just have to, right? Facing elimination, best player on the team. He can get his shot whenever he likes, based off what I've seen. You'd be crazy to back anything other than the over for SGA. So that's the way that I'm leaning. Looking at his assists, 6.5. He's covered this in 3 out of the 5 games in this series, averaging 7.2 assists. Plus money if you take the over. His potential assists have slowly increased throughout this series, averaging 14.4 potential assists. Now, the problem here, and why I would lean to the under, is traditionally in the playoffs, role players don't shoot as well on the road. And you can see it in this graph here. His potential assists were pretty much in line with his average in the 2 games in Dallas, but those were the 2 games he went under his assist line. So, yeah, I'd be leaning to the under. I'm not saying to bet it, but the under is the favorite as well at -118. So that's what I'm thinking for SGA. Now, if we have a look at his rebounds, 7.5. 4 out of his last 5 games in the series, he's covered this line, averaging 9 rebounds a game. So still going to get plus money here. He had 13 rebound chances in the only game where he went under. Somewhat disappointing. So he should get a lot more minutes. He got 42. He should be playing up around 45, really. if these guys have a chance. I would lean to the over on this. He did cash the over in both games in Dallas. So that's the way that I'll be leaning there for SGA. If you're looking for one set, I do like his points, but another pivot to that, because what's his points are minus 105. You could look at points plus rebounds. We like the over 38.5 minus 115, and that will save you one stat point. So this is, if you think he's going to hit both, this is a little bit more likely, I'd say. But yeah, I like the points a lot better, to be honest. Points for me, but points and rebounds might have a better statistical chance, but you need two different things to happen. But I have a feeling he could potentially cover that in points alone. Next up, who's the two? Williams, second best player in OKC, apparently. Not playing like it, but he is the second best player there. Take a look at his prop. He has been disappointing. I bet on him once this series. He did not deliver. He got worse. But the good thing is, when you underperform for 3 consecutive games in a row, your line drops. So Jalen Williams' points line is at 17.5. He's cashed this in 2 out of 5 games, averaging 16 points per game in this series. In the 2 games at Dallas, he scored 16 and 14 points. His minutes are fine. He's getting the run. He's averaging 15 shot attempts per game. But as of late, his percentages haven't been terrific at all. So he's getting blocked a whole lot. He hasn't made a 3-pointer in 2 games, and he's not getting to the line too much. So I would lean to the under. I'm not suggesting that you bet that, but definitely that is the way that I would be leaning. It is an elimination game, so definitely things could be happening here from the OKC team. Yeah, not something that I'll like betting on. All right, jumping into the assist prop for Jalen Williams. Line's at 4.5. He's averaging 5.2 assists so far in this series, covering in 3 out of the 5 games. If you do like which the sports books do, this is at minus 130. In the 2 road games in Dallas, he had 8 and 6 assists. If that adds to it, potential assists is at 9.6. So 9.6 potential assists in order to get 5. Yeah, it seems about right. The line feels about spot on. At minus 130, I wouldn't be too interested in playing it myself. But yeah, I think he finishes from round 5, to be honest, at least. So looking at his rebound line, 5.5 is the line. He's covered this in 3 out of the 5 games. I've watched a lot of the games in this series. And he is noticeably aggressive to get boards. He had that one game with 20 rebound chances, the last game in Dallas. So he did cover his rebound line. Both games played in Dallas. So yeah, I'd have to lean to the on this one for Jalen Williams. I think one good look here could be the rebounds plus assists, actually. 10.5 for J-Dub. He's cashed it in 2 out of the 5 games, averaging 11.2 rebounds and assists. But the 2 games on the road, filled at 14 and 15 rebounds plus assists. And if you factor in OKC should be desperate as hell in this one, I'd expect to see his rebound numbers lift. If SGA is not passing that rock around too much, somebody else might be creating the offense. So I think that Jalen Williams' rebounds plus assists could be a good look there. Something for me to research a little bit later, but I'll put that down on my leans. Next up, we'll go with Holmgren. All right, Chet's points line, 14.5. Hasn't gone down, but he's cashed this in out of the 5 games so far in this series. He's averaging 14.8 points per game. Had 13 in the last game, so I wasn't too far under it. No concerns with his minutes. They're relatively consistent. I think the issue, if you look at the over here, is that the volume's not necessarily there. This last game where he scored 18 points, he only took 9 shots. He was 6 from 9. He did make a 3-pointer, and he got to the free throw line quite a lot. So, yeah, definitely not leaning to the over in this. I'd probably lean to the under, but not a bet that I would take. I would not necessarily loving the under for a lot of these OKC players being so desperate and stuff, facing elimination. Quick look at his assist line, 1.5. He's cashed that in 2 out of 5 games. But look, his potential assists aren't too bad, I'd say. 3.4 to get 2. Actually, they are bad given this line. So definitely a pass from me. And then his rebounds, 8.5 for Chet. He's covered this in 1 out of the 5 games. He's averaging 6.8 rebounds in this series. Plus money to the over means the under is favorite. 18.2 rebound chances far in this series. The 2 games in Dallas, 20 and 24 rebound chances. That last game, I would say, was an anomaly, an outlier, you could say. He only had 12 rebound chances. So, look, I would lean to the under here, but Chet's averaging about 36 minutes in this series. 39 and 38 in the last 2. He should play over 40 minutes if OKC is serious about winning. So, yeah, I'd probably pass on taking unders on Chet. Next up, we got Lou Dort. Now, the Dortcher Chamber has not been afraid to shoot over the past 2 games. I've liked his aggressive nature throughout this this whole series, but in the last 2 games, he's putting up shots. So looking at his points line, 11.5, it's moved up to its plus money play right now. He's covered this in 2 or 5 games this series. He's averaging 10. Last 2 games, though, have been very promising, 17 and 12 points. His minutes are very high. Looking at his shot attempts, 10.2 shot attempts so far in this series. Last 2 games, 14 and 11. The problem here is Lou Dort is shooting such a terrible percentage. Every game, he's gone under 40% from the field. He's shooting 31% from the field in this series. Taking a lot of three-pointers, not necessarily making them. The game where he did go over, he shot a lot of free throws, which is not what you can expect from Lou Dort. So probably a game like that last one where he finishes on 12 is what you can really expect. So I'm not overly keen on Lou Dort points. What about his assist? 1.5 minus 135. He's cashed this in 3 out of the 5 games. He is averaging 2 assists. That last game, he had 9 potential assists, which is out of this world. But the other 4 games, he barely had any. So I think we can assume that that was an outlier, not something you're going to base off for your bet. Rebounds, 4.5. 3 out of the 5 games he's covered. He's averaging 5.2 boards in this series. Is the primary defender on Luka, but the last 2 games he's been great. 18 and 13 rebound chances, which helped him exceed this rebound line. So this is something that I'm probably lean to the over on, to be honest. Not something I'm going to bet, but I would lean to the over for Lou Dort for sure. All right, the last player from OKC I want to talk through is Josh Giddey. I wonder if he starts or if he's going to be on the bench. That's one question in my mind. I think he was good off the bench. Isaiah Joe, he started to some shooting, but that didn't necessarily work for them. But anyway, let's talk about Josh Giddey. His points line, 6.5 plus 110. He's covered in 3 out of 5 games, averaging 7 points per game in this series. If you look at his minutes, even though he's coming off the bench, he still played the same amount of minutes that he normally does. If you look at his attempts, same amount of attempts in the last 3 games. 8 attempts in all 3. That last game, he just happened to shoot 63% from the field, 1 from 3 from downtown. Doesn't get to the free throw line. So I've got no lean on this on Josh Giddey. It comes down to his percentage because it looks like his shot attempts and his minutes you can pretty much predict. So he's going to take about 8 shots in this game based off what we've seen. And if his line's at 6.5, we need him to make 4 baskets. 4 baskets for Josh Giddey. Can he do it? Potentially. I'm not overly keen on anything there. Rebounds, 2.5 rebounds, had 3 in the last one. Again, very similar to his points prop. Not too much data we can go off here because the sample size of his minutes is so small. I think the other thing I don't know, actually, you can't do this. I was going to say, you could just look at taking the under in his PRA. Clearly an outlier that last game where he had 16. So I'd lean to the under in his PRA. If you're desperate to bet on absolutely everything, that's the way that I'd be going with Josh Giddey, but I am not desperate. So let's move on to the Dallas Mavericks. Now, we had Luka Doncic go off in that last game. My man's went crazy. So looking at his points line, it's at 28.5. In this series, he's averaging 23.8 points per game, covering this line twice. Both of the games where he did cover happened to be on the road. He's shot 22 times in that last game, a little bit higher than his normal attempts so far in this series, 55% from the field. That I don't think he can maintain. He was 5 from 11 from downtown. Again, somewhat of an outlier in this series, and he didn't get to the free throw line too much. So in terms of points for this game, I would be leaning to the under, given how this series has gone. Luka was great in that last game, but for the most part, OKC have been making it difficult for him. The torture chamber is real. Mavericks are at home. I think OKC come into this game hungry as hell. They've taken a game in Dallas before, so I don't think they'll be overwhelmed by that. So OKC, we're talking about how this finishes. I want Dallas to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if OKC do. I think they come into this game hungry. And more defensively steeled to slow down Luka, if anything. So I'm feeling pretty strong about the Luka under here. I'm not sure whether I'll play it or not, but I'll put that down on my leans because of 28.5. That's just not what he's been doing as of late. And I think that last game was not a fluke, but I don't think it's something he's going to do back to back. Put it that way. Now, his assist point prop, 9.5 assists. He's cashed this in the last 2 games, 2 out of the 5. He's averaging 8.4 assists in this series, 15.2 potential assists. So the potential assist volumes weren't very high in that last game. But it's easy to get these assists when you're just lobbing it up most of the time. So Luka didn't have that game where his usage rate was sky high, believe it or not, which kind of works in Dallas's favor. So the assist prop, I got no idea what's going to happen there. Probably lean to the under. And then we have his rebounds, 10.5. The 2 games at home, he's rebounded very well. 15 and 12 rebounds for Luka at home in this series. They're the only 2 games where he has covered. If we look at his rebound chances were higher in both of those games too. So given that, I'd probably lean to over on his rebounds, but my only argument there is because, right? I've got nothing else. So actually, one thing that I'm thinking of I'm actually leaning more towards the under in his points plus assists, 37.5. So this has only cashed once in this series, and that was in the game where he had 31 points and 11 assists. Okay, so you're going to have to make some adjustments here to Luka scoring, and the guys like Derek Lively, possibly even Derek Jones, dunking all over their heads. So Luka, looking at the under on his points and assists. Next up, we've got Kyrie Irving. Now, I think I was one of the fools who bet his over in points in the last game, expecting a bounce back. This could be the last game of the series, and Kyrie could well potentially finish this series averaging 14 points per game. So his points prop, 19.5. He's covered this in 2 out of the 5 games, 29, 22, 9, and 12. Dallas are winning this series and Kyrie not needing to be amazing. But yeah, his shot attempts are low. 46% from the field is not great. His 3-point attempts only at 3.2. He's shooting them at a 44% clip, so that's not too bad. And free throws, he's not getting to the free throw line, averaging 2 attempts per game. So if I go with the data on this one, definitely looking to back the unders. If you have signed up to my Winnable, you'd know that a few days ago I actually took his under 20.5 points, and I took his under in the first quarter. I said enough is enough. That last game where I bet on his over, I did see him try to be a bit more aggressive, but the way that OKC are playing difficult for him, I can't see him going over this line. They're putting big bodies on him. He's seeing a lot of Jalen Williams, who's got thighs, power, and foot speed young, so he's making life difficult for Kyrie. I think if Denver get through and Dallas can get through, I think that could be a series for Kyrie, but this one against OKC, it's not made for him. So yeah, I'd be leaning to the under. Well, actually, I am betting the under, but letting you know that I'm betting it, but I'll put it down as my listed leans because I don't want you to just blindly bet what I'm betting. I want you to do your own research. I'm here to give you the education, a bit of numbers, and some insights, and I want you guys to make your own decision on this. So Kyrie under in points, that's one way that I'm leaning. First quarter points, this is cash in like 12 consecutive games now, to the under. So I took the under 4.5 points because why the hell not? It's been hitting so well. It's hitting like 12 straight games or something like that. The under for Kyrie is what I'm thinking in the first quarter. If we look at his assist prop, 5.5, he's averaging 6.8 in this series, but he's covered this in 3 or 5 games. That last game finally had some regression, finishing on 4 assists. He did have 13 potential assists, though, and he had 9 assists in the game prior to that with that volume. He's averaging 13.8 potential assists in this series, and that's delivering on 6.8. So I'd probably lean to the over on Kyrie assists, but at minus 135, not the odds that I like for a straight bet. But if you're playing daily fantasy, Kyrie to go over his 5.5 assists is definitely a look right there. Looking at his rebounds, 4.5 boards is the line. 1 out of 5 games in this series he's cashed in. This was one of the bets I took when they last played. I took the under. That's now favored still at minus 130, and that's because his rebound chances are so low, especially because he's playing very well on defense, oftentimes taking him out of position to get boards. So, but at minus 130, definitely not a play that I'm overly excited about. So you can, if you're playing daily fantasy, the under in Kyrie rebounds, over in his assists are 2 good options. All right, we're done with Kyrie. Dallas is number 3. We go PJ Washington. So PJ Washington, they finally shut his water off, slowed his ass down real quick, but I think part of it was foul trouble as well. So his points line in this game, 15.5. You can get that for plus money. He's cashed in 3 out of the 5 games. He cashed this in both games played in Dallas as well. If that means anything to you, minutes, still very consistent, up around 40. Would have had 40 minutes in that last game if he wasn't in foul trouble. The biggest difference, though, in that last game, his shot attempts. Only took 9 attempts, 2 from 7 from downtown. I'm thinking about running back his 3-point prop, maybe. The points one I'm a little bit unsure about, but his 3-point plays at 2.5. I did take the over last time, and that was because of attempts. That last game, he only attempted 7. He shot 29% from the field. If he can bounce back and get to shooting in the mid 40s, then he'll cash 3 for sure. But yeah, that's a lean for me. I played that last time, and a lot of the times when I make a read, a lot of the times when I'm wrong, they do tend to hit the following game. So PJ Washington over his 3-pointers, that could be a good look. Then we have his rebounds. His lines moved to 7.5, and fair enough. He's had 2 great rebounding games. 3 out of the 5 games he's covered this in. He's averaging rebounds a game in this series. Looking at his rebound chances, 13 points rebound chances. I feel like this line is it's moved to a point that I'm not comfortable touching. But if you're looking to build some parlays on the day and you want something a little bit safer, I'll let you know that 6 rebounds for PJ Washington has hit in 5 straight games. So feel free to have a taste at that one. Who else do we have? We've got Daniel Gafford. So Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively seem to be taking turns on having big games against OKC. All right, so let's take a look. Points-wise for DG, you're getting at 9.5. He's averaging 11.2 in this series. 3 out of the 5 games he has covered in. Trending down, but he's had a few games with some injuries. Outside of the injuries, he should get close to 25 minutes. His attempts, 6.8 per game. That first game, he took a lot. Since then, between 6 and 4. So I feel like this line is right on the money at 9.5. I wouldn't be interested in touching this. I'm going to have to pass on Daniel Gafford. Rebounds, 7.5. 2 out of 5 games, he's averaging 2.6 rebounds per game in this series. Rebound chances, 15.8 rebound chances per game. Again, with players like Daniel Gafford, who are somewhat consistent in this series, the line has gotten to the point where it's right on the money. So I feel like there's no value in playing any Daniel Gafford rebounds and points. Interested to look at his assists here, and the reason why is he's covered out 4 or 5, but that's not the reason why. The reason why is OKC doing a lot of work to get the ball out of Luka's hands, out of Kyrie's hands. And oftentimes Daniel Gafford is touching this ball and he's getting a lot of shots to the corner or people cutting in the baseline. So based on hit rate alone, Daniel Gafford over to get 1 assist, that could be money, but it will be a bit of a sweat. But keep this in mind, right? Daniel Gafford has got 1 assist in 72% of the games this season. He's got 1 assist in 80% of the games in this series. It's a sweaty ass play because he'll be on there for 25 minutes and you'd be looking for 1 assist. 1. It could be an offensive rebound, kick out to a shooter. It could be that simple, right? So it could be a good look. So I put that down on my short list because the hit rate is amazing. Let's get to D Live. Lively. You might as well look at his assists too, right? Because these guys play very similar. Check this out. D Live, he has hit this in 9 out of his last 10 games. He's had 1 assist in 67% of the games this season. He's also had 1 assist in every game in this series. So for the very same reason that Daniel Gafford, when they set that pick and they roll, they are open. And a lot of the time they're going to try to dunk it. But what we've seen over his last 5, D Live's actually got more potential assists than Daniel Gafford. So D Lively assists overs could intrigue me a little bit more than Gafford's does. So I'll put that down on my short list. But let's take a look at his points line. 8.5. He's covered this in 2 out of 5 games. He's averaging 6.8 in this series. Minutes, 21.8. So the last 3 games, he's seen a little bit of an uplift in his minutes. These 2 games where he played the most minutes where Daniel Gafford was affected by injuries. So they got a pretty solid rotation with both of these guys going in and out for each other to keep one of them on there at all times. D Live points at 8.5. I think pretty sharp. His rebounds at 6.5. There's probably more potential, more upside in D Live. Check out these rebound chances in the last 3 games. 16, 17, and 17. Very consistent with his rebound chances. So probably lean to the over here for Derek Lively, but it could just be right on the money. We need 7 boards. So yeah, probably lean to the over. Not something I'm willing to bet, but maybe something like 6 boards of a parlay in this one. That could be a good look, but I'm not looking for parlay pieces right now. I need some straighties. Give me them straight bets, baby. We then have Derrick Jones Jr. This guy, they've been leaving him open all series long, and he finally started to make him pay. His line is only at 9.5, even after the 2 strong games. Very interesting. So check this out. He's hit this in 2 out of 5 games. He's averaging 11 now in this series because his last 2 games he scored 17 and 19 points. He didn't get an uplift in his minutes in the last 2 games. He didn't get an uplift in his shot attempts in his last 2 games. The only difference in the last 2 games, he shot 58 and 78% from the field, right? And he did that after shooting terribly, 25 and 10% in the 2 games prior. That's when I started to lean on Derek Jones to go over. Last 2 games, he has started to deliver. Now, I think there should be some sort of regression here for Derek Jones. I don't think OKC changed the way that they defend him. And if he goes back to shooting about 40% from the field, suddenly he makes half the amount of buckets that he has been making, which probably takes him down to around 10 points. These are his 3-point attempts here. 4.2 per game. In that last game, he shot 3 out of 5, which again, he only shoots about 30%. He's shooting 30% from 3 in this series. If he shot 33% in this one, he's looking at 1 to 2 3-pointers. So yeah, as much as I want to take this, I feel like the value may be gone, I'd say. Unless he maintains his shooting, right? I think I'd lean to the over for sure. I just don't know if I can take that bet anymore. I feel like it's moved too far. His assists, 1.5. Ain't nobody around with that. Rebounds, 3.5 for D Jones. He's averaging 3 in this series. 2 out of the 5 games, chances at 7.2. So as the primary defender for SGA, especially in a closeout game like this, Derek Jones Jr., he might get more time, but I don't think he gets more rebounds. So that I'm a little bit hesitant to touch. Let's get into some of these bench boys because I feel like one of them going to get good. I think Josh Green or Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to get popping in this one. I don't know why, but I just feel it. So Josh Green's points line, 4.5. In this series, he scored 11, 11, 3, 3, and 5. So he's averaging 6.8 minutes, getting about 17 minutes per game. He's taking about 5.6 shot attempts. He's shooting 43% from the field. Hasn't been shooting all too well the last 3, though, from downtown. He was 1 from 5 in that last game. So I wouldn't say to bet the here. I'm just saying I feel like one of them could go off. I don't know who does, but I feel like they need that production from the bench. It could be Hardy, right? Hardy even started getting a run. He's taking Dante Exum's minutes in this. So 3 out of 5 games, he's covered this assist line of 1.5. Potential assists are not all too great. Rebounds 1.5 as well, but that looks ass. No. I think for Tim Hardaway, we'll just look at his points prop. Where's you at? So Tim Hardaway is one good game in this series. His points line at 5.5. One good game of 17. He's covered this in 3 out of the 5 games, averaging 7.6 points per game. His minutes, they're down. So 12.2 minutes in that last game. They did bring Jaden Hardy off the bench, playing a lot more minutes. Still taking some attempts. 6.8 average attempts for Tim Hardaway Jr. At 5.5, you're really praying for 2 3-pointers for Tim Hardaway. So that might be a better look. Where's his 3-pointers made? Yeah, 1.5 for Tim Hardaway's plus money. With this in the 3 out of 5 games as well. Taking on average 4 attempts per game. So you need him to shoot 50% from deep. And he's currently shooting 35% in this series. So yeah, I'm not really feeling it for Tim Hardaway there. Not feeling it at all. But before I let you run, I must plug my Winnable. Let's talk about Winnable real quick. So I've been sharing my final picks on Winnable. A lot of my initial leans picks, if I've already decided, I'll post them in the pinned comment on YouTube. But then I get after it. I deep dive a few other things. And then Winnable is the best place to go if you want to see my final picks. And that is, I send updates. I send pants. Like, for example, I sent the Kyrie picks about 2 days ago to take his unders. Pretty much after the last game. So you can get ahead of any line movement. Got it at 20.5. It's now moved down to 19.5 as an example. So Winnable, I've got a free version of Winnable that you guys can sign up to, and that's when you'll get notified whenever I put any bets in there. I'm also posting some MLB plays in there as well, and even some WNBA stuff. I had a winning day here on the WNBA, 2 from 2 on the pick, so just warming into those. But if you're interested in seeing any WNBA plays that I make as well, Winnable is the place to go. At least that way you get notified when I send those bets. Now, when you do go on to Winnable to sign up, I've got a free plan and I've got a VIP plan. The VIP plan obviously costs some money. And the reason why that costs some money is I've actually started to spend a little bit of money on a lot of AI and modeling tools. So they are quite expensive, but I'm hoping it gives me a winning edge on MLB and WNBA, which I am not overly familiar with. So getting some reinforcements in there. So for those of you who sign up to my VIP, you can expect to get MLB players and WNBA players every single day. There's a few of you guys are in there, so thank you for the support. But that's what the VIP thing is all about. Those of you in the free portion, share with you what's winning on the VIP anyway, and then it's up to you whether you decide to jump in. Other than that, all my other free links, that's how you support me. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already to the channel. I'll be doing this once again tomorrow. Best of luck to you. Peace.
Up to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.